So today's video is going to be an unsolved disappearance of Emanuela Orlandi. So before we get into the video, I would like to say, I mean no disrespect to the victim or her family. If I get any of the information or facts wrong, I am truly sorry. That is not my intent. The information I give is what I found in my research of this case. Also, this disappearance took place in Rome in the Vatican City. So if I mispronounce any name or anything like that, please forgive me. I am truly sorry. Emanuela Orlandi disappearance launched decades of conspiracy theories that included the Italian mafia, Vatican satanists, sex trafficking, and even sacrifices. Emanuela Orlandi was a 15-year-old that was born on January 14, 1968 in Vatican City. She was the fourth of five children born to Ercole and Maria Orlandi. She had one brother and three sisters. Her brother was Pietro Orlandi. One sister's name was Natalina Orlandi, Federica Orlandi, and Maria Cristina Orlandi. Emanuela's father was an employee of the Vatican Bank, according to some reports. Other reports say he was an employee of the papal household. The family lived inside Vatican City, and the children had free run of the Vatican gardens. Emanuela was in her second year of high school in Rome in 1983. Although the school year had ended, she continued to take flute lessons 3 times a week at the Tommaso Ludovico de Victorian School connected with the Pontifical Institute of Sacred Music. She was also part of the choir of the Church of Pilafineri in the Vatican. Emanuela usually traveled by bus to the music school. She would get off the bus after a few stops and then walk 690 feet to the school. On Wednesday, June 22nd, 1983, Emanuela was late to class. She asked her brother to ride on the bus to the class with her, but he had other commitments and couldn't do it. So she took the bus by herself like she usually does. In an interview decades later, Pietro said, "I've gone over it so many times, telling myself if only I had accompanied her, maybe it wouldn't have happened." Later that day, Emanuela called home speaking to one of her sisters after her music class and explained her tardiness in the telephone conversation with her sister. Emanuela stated she had received a job offer from a representative of Avon and was telling her sister about job offer. Her sister suggested she talk it over with their parents before making any decisions. And according to some reports, Emanuela allegedly met with the Avon rep shortly before her music lesson, and then at the end of the lesson she spoke to one of her friends about the job offer for a few moments, and then after that the friend left and Emanuela stayed at the bus stop with another girl. Emanuela was allegedly last seen getting into a large dark colored BMW. Since then, there has been no trace of the teenager, and investigators have been unable to reach a conclusion about what happened to her. So, at 3 p.m. on Thursday, June 23rd, 1983, Emanuela's parents called the director of the music school to ask if any of their daughter's classmates had any information. The police had suggested waiting because perhaps the girl was with friends. The police are saying maybe she isn't missing or abducted, that she's probably just with friends. But she was officially declared a missing person later that day. Over the next 2 days, announcements of the disappearance were published with the telephone number of the Orlandi's house in the newspapers. At 6 p.m. on Saturday, June 25th, 83, a phone call was received from a young boy who claimed to be a 16-year-old boy named Pierre Luigi. He reported that he and his fiancee had met the missing girl in Navona that afternoon. The young man mentioned Emanuela's flute, her hair, and the glasses that the girl did not like to wear, along with other details that fit the missing girl. According to Pierluigi, she had just had a haircut and had introduced herself as Barbarella. He claimed she stated that she had just ran away from home and was selling Avon products. And then on June 28th, a man calling himself Mario called the family and claimed to own a bar near Ponte Vittorio, between the Vatican and the music school. The man said that a girl named Barbara had confided to him about being a fugitive from home, but said that she would return home for her sister's wedding on June 30th. Rome was plastered with over 3,000 posters displaying Emanuela's photograph. On Sunday, July 3rd, Pope John Paul II, during the Angelus, appealed to those responsible for Emanuela's disappearance, making the hypothesis of a kidnapping official for the first time. 2 days later, the Orlandi family received first of a number of anonymous phone calls. Emanuela was supposedly the prisoner of the terrorist group demanding the release of Mehmet Aliak, a Turkish national who was in prison for having attempted to assassinate the Pope 2 years earlier in May of 81. No other information was given. In the following days, other calls were received, including one from a man identified as the American due to his apparent accent, who played a recording of Orlandi's daughter's voice over the phone. A few hours later, in another phone call to the Vatican, the same man suggested an exchange of Emanuela for Muhammad. The anonymous caller mentioned the Mario and the Pierluigi of the earlier telephone call, defining them as members of the organization. On July 6th, a man with a young voice and an American accent informed news agencies of the demand for an Emanuela Mehmet exchange, asking the Pope participation within 20 days and indicating that a basket in the public square near the Parliament would contain proof that she was indeed in his hands. Now, this so-called proof was to have been photocopies of her music school ID, a receipt, and a note handwritten by the kidnapped girl. However, the police who were overseeing Emanuela's case did not believe that there was a credible connection between Emanuela's abduction and the Pope's attempted assassination. On July 8th, a man with a alleged Middle Eastern accent phoned one of Emanuela's classmates saying she was in his hands and that they had 20 days to make the exchange with Mohammed. The man also asked for a direct telephone line with then Secretary of State Agostino Casarelli. The line was installed on July 18th, and a total of 16 telephone calls were made by the American from different public telephone booths. On the morning on May 14th, 2001, the parish priest of the Gregory VII Church near the Vatican discovered a human skull of small dimensions and lacking a jaw in a bag with the image of Padre Pio in a confessional. It has not been officially identified as Orlandi's skull. Emanuela's father died in 2004, a month after giving his last interview. Over the years, a number of theories regarding the motives for the crime have been published in the Italian press. So now we're going to talk about all the theories that have been thrown out there about this case. So there's the theory of the Emanuela Muhammad connection, saying that Muhammad, who once declared that Orlandi had been kidnapped by Bulgarian agents of the Grey Wolves, a Turkish ultra-nationalist neo-fascist young organization of which Muhammad was a member, spoke about Emanuela during a prison interview, telling the interviewer that the girl was alive, not in danger, and living in a convent. He denied any direct knowledge of the girl's fate, though saying that he had made some logic deductions. With no evidence to support these claims, the case was closed in July of 97. In the mid 2000s, a judge, based on what he had learned about the Grey Wolves, declared that Emanuela, by then an adult, was living a perfectly integrated life in the Muslim community and that she had probably lived for a long time in Paris. He remains the only supporter of this idea. And in a letter published in 2006, Mohammed claimed that Emanuela and another girl, Morella Gregory, both of whom vanished in '83, were abducted as part of a plan to secure his release from prison. He claimed that the girls were whisked away to a royal palace. Mohammed was temporarily released from prison after serving 25 years in Italy and Turkey for the murder of Abdi Apache, a prominent Turkish journalist. However, he was quickly imprisoned again, the release seemingly a mistake. Mohammed was permanently released from a Turkish prison in January of 2010. On November 9, 2010, he was interviewed by a state television in Turkey for the first time since his release the preceding January. In that interview, as well as declaring that the Vatican organized the assassination attempt, he claimed that Orlandi was kept as a prisoner by the Vatican for him and was then living in a Central European country as a nun in a Catholic monastery. He added that Orlandi's family could see their daughter whenever they liked, but that she was not allowed to leave the monastery. And none of it was ever to be proven true. The organized crime theory was in 2011. It said that Banda della Moliana member Antonio Monsina implied that Orlandi's kidnapping was one of a number of strikes that the gang was making against the Vatican in order to force the restitution of large amounts of money they had lent the Vatican Bank through Roberto Calvi. Banco Ambrosiano. On May 14, 2012, Italian police opened the tomb of gangster Enrico De Pettis and took DNA samples. according to some reports at the time. An anonymous call to an Italian television program in 2005 said it contained evidence that would help the police explain Orlandi's disappearance. And in 2008, a former girlfriend of De Pettis said that De Pettis had once confessed to her that he kidnapped Orlandi. No clues were ever found in the tomb linking De Pettis to Emanuela's disappearance. There's the Vatican sex scandal theory. In May of 2012, when interest in the case was renewed, leading police to search the De Pettis tomb, then 85-year-old exorcist Father Gabriel Amorth claimed that the Orlandi was kidnapped by a member of the Vatican police for sex parties and then murdered. Amorth claimed that officials of an unnamed foreign embassy were involved as well. In October of 2018, remains found during renovation work at the Holy See's embassy in Italy, or to Italy, in Rome, were the subject of speculation related Orlandi affair. An attorney for the Orlandi family objected to the media's attention. She said, "We have no idea why the association with Emanuela was made. We're still asking ourselves why you'd find some bones and immediately assume they were Emanuela's." Test results released on February 1st of 2019 showed the remains were not Emanuela's. They were of a Rome man who died between 190 and 230 AD. On July 10th of 2019, it was announced that the Vatican would be opening two tombs inside Vatican City, which would then be examined. The tombs were the Tomb of Angel, meant to contain the remains of Princess Sophie, and the adjacent one, which was meant to contain the remains of Duchess Charlotte. The exhumation took place on July 11, 2019. Neither Emanuela's body nor the bodies of the two princesses were found. The Vatican is currently conducting an investigation into the whereabouts of the remains. According to a report on July 13th of 2019, the Vatican announced that two sets of bones had been found near the tomb of the two princesses, raising speculation that one might be the remains of Orlandi. The bones were discovered as staff probed other locations to which the princess's remains may have been moved within the cemetery. Reports of numerous news media outlets stated on July 20th, 2019 that the tombs had actually found to be empty. According to the BBC, for example, that July 1st, 2019 search only deepened the mystery, as even the bones of two princesses thought to be there were missing. The same finding was reported by other news outlets as well. Thousands of human bones belonging to dozens of bodies were, however, found on July 20th in the underground at the ossuaries at the Teutonic College. Forensic investigators were to analyze the remains and were expected to use carbon-14 method to obtain a rough estimate of their age. That is the end of this case. I have not been able to find any more information. If you liked this video, please hit the like button as well as subscribe, because I am definitely going to try to put out at least one video a week. Hopefully I can do a little more. Thank you so much.